when a better player, tour player, single digit player, when they hit a bad shot, they're not trying to make up for the bad shot on their next shot.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero here on the Tour Coach Podcast. Thanks for listening in. You're about to get some golf information to help your game from the best teachers, mental coaches, players, fitness experts from around the world. These are all the people that I deal with day in, day out, traveling the PGA, LPGA, Korn Ferry Tours, or down there at Old Palm where I do most of my teaching in Palm Beach Gardens. So sit back, relax, and let's get better at the game of golf. And hey, if you like what you hear, please, please, please take a second, like, subscribe, and share it wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so joining me here on the Tour Coach for my luxurious $99 a night motel room on the road up here at the Korn Ferry Tour Championship. My good friend, one of the great teachers in the game, Mike Malizia, from just really up the road from where I hang out most of the time. He's at Admiral's Cove. I'm down at Old Palm hanging out most of the time. Mike, what the heck is up?
How you doing, brother? Great to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, we've been trying to do this for a couple of weeks, and obviously I follow all your stuff on social media. You do a great job with all the stuff you're putting out there. And you and we've talked about a lot of things over the last several weeks, but one is, identifying really who the player you're trying to help is really when you come down to it. And, so many of the folks that listen to this podcast are, first of all, you have to love golf and be a golf junkie to ride around in your car listening to me, right? That, I will say that, and there's like 6 hot Swedish women out there that do. But other than that, right, they're golf junkies. So, and most of them are really wanting to get better. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that range of golfer that we could give 5 or 6 things that's desperately trying to become a single-digit handicap and a competitive player, whether it's getting better at their club and winning club championships or member guests, or whether it's the person that's trying to be able to become I get a lot of guys that used to play college, maybe small college or whatever, played other sports, and they're trying to get into the mid-am golf now. That's been such a big deal. But let's talk about that range of player, and you do so much with that. Let's talk about some of the keys that you see and discuss how we can help folks become, a competitive player. Let's get people to become a single-digit handicap.
Yeah, I think, to me, it's all about understanding or having the person understand who they are. They really need to start to look at these things, because when you take a 10 handicap, an 8 handicap, and he wants to get down, very rarely is it that one big elephant in the room. It's it's usually knocking off a stroke here, 2 strokes here, could be short game. But I think you really need to start looking at your performances. I think that's where it starts, and really paying attention, because they don't have an awareness of where they're losing shots. It's always just one big thing that they think they do. So I think it first starts with statistics. I think you have to, and you don't have to get elaborate. I mean, you don't have to go crazy. I mean, I love, Fawcett has the Tiger 5. You start to look at 3 putts. You start to look at for 10 handicap, 8 handicap. How good are you from 150 and in? You start to look at, all the elements that create their handicap, because your handicap's not your entire game. I mean, you and I've seen guys that, that want to get down to scratch, and they hit it like a +1, and they putt it like a 15.
Correct.
So I think that's your starting point.
I used to, back in the old days of being on PGA Tour Radio, a guest I used to have on all the time that I did some stuff with, Peter Sanders, the old shot by shot golf days, right?
Yeah.
And he told me something once that I've used with players a lot, and actually used it with a mid handicap player at Mobile way back, but was like, just mark your scorecard, and anytime you make a double, just mark what shot caused the double, right? And about eliminating errors and eliminating doubles. And to me, like, when I look at a player that's trying to become competitive and become a single digit handicap, that's one of the first things I look at, is like, how many doubles are you making? Because, like, well, I mean, you know, I'm not saying now that I say this, probably both my guys will make 6 doubles this week. But like when you watch the best players in the world and tour players, like, I mean, the guys playing good and the ones that are, you know, having good years and they don't make doubles, they make bogeys. Everybody, and I think they understand too that you can make bogeys. That's one area to me, and I'd love you like. I think that sometimes the guys trying to become single digits don't understand that it's okay to make bogeys in places. 200-yard par threes. A 4 doesn't kill you.
No,
but 5s
no,
do. You know,
no, exactly. Every shot, you know, my whole point is when I go on and do playing lessons with players like that, with, you know, 5, 8, 10 handicappers, is the issue they run into is every shot has the same value. So I'll put them in a position, let's say around the green, and I'll say, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, based on your skill set, what do you think this shot is? And they'll say, a 3. And I go, okay, so what are you going to try to do? I'm going to try to land it on the green, roll it back to the hole. Then I'll put them in a tougher spot and I'll say, what on a skill set 1 to 10, what is this shot? And they go, oh shit, it's a 9 or a 10. I go, okay, so what are you going to do here? Well, I'm going to try to just land it over the bunker, let it trickle. I go, whoa, 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 whoa. You're taking the same approach to a 3 that it is a 10. I don't need you to hit that shot. What I don't need you to do is dump it in the bunker. Give yourself a realistic shot. So when you start to look at, and that goes kind of into course management, the decision needs to be based on what is the shot, the skill level, 1 to 10, based on your handicap. If you're a 10 handicap and you got a 200-yard par 3, that goes up into the 7, 8s, and 9s. So it's okay, like you said, to make a bogey.
Yeah, and again, I think that, you know, I just think that a lot of becoming a single digit handicap is just more awareness of the shots you can hit and the shots you can't, right?
Yeah.
And the likelihood that you'll pull them off, and understanding, and just an understanding of that. Like, very seldom do I see a tour player hit a shot. I mean, I get it on if they're coming down the last 9 and they're 1 shot back. I mean, those obviously it's very situational. But on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you very seldom see a tour player hit a shot that would be a 9 or 10 difficulty that they've got almost no chance of it pulling off if there's another option and they can reasonably make a bogey.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when a better player, tour player, single digit player, when they hit a bad shot, they're not trying to make up for the bad shot on their next shot. And that's what amateurs do. They try to make up for it. Let me hit the miracle shot. You know, I'm in the woods. Let me see if I can hit a low cut, slice it around, and chase it up on the green. It's like, I don't need you to make 4.
Yeah.
Just don't need you to make 6 or 7.
We used to have a saying way back in my early days was like the time to make up for a bad shot is never ever the next shot. It's somewhere else in that round of golf or in a tournament, right?
Absolutely.
Like, next shot. And like, so you just hit one 265, 35 yards offline, and the next shot you think you can hit 180 between trees this narrow. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? But that's what they do. You know, I agree 100% on that.
Yeah, it's just saving the shots that you can save, and they don't. As I said, what I see is they don't view the level of the shot, because when you ask them that question, it kind of answers the decision that they need to make. And I'm going, okay, so if it's a 9, why would you try the same kind of approach? Just get it over the bunker, let it trickle down to the hole. How about we move the pin 10 feet past where it is, and this way, if you do mishit it a little bit, it gets on the front of the green, it ends up close to the hole. If you hit it correctly, it should be 10 feet past the hole. Give yourself a chance.
Give yourself. So we've talked about, you know, eliminating doubles, shot selection, really, especially around the greens, eliminating doubles. Where would you go next trying to help somebody improve, become a competitive player?
I think once you identify, as I said, keep the statistics and start to break that down, then you have to go into practice. How are you
Mhm.
practicing? Right. And I do this, I take the same approach, whether it's a 10 handicap or a tour player. I'm looking at all the variables that contribute to their round. So how are you practicing? In what way are you practicing? And most
Mhm.
of them are not practicing the skill set of golf. They're practicing golf swing. Right.
Agreed. And I would add to that, obviously there's different people with different strengths, but I don't think that near enough they go hit balls and all of that and work on their golf swing, but they don't practice and really understand like the importance of 100 yards or 120 yards and in distance control and wedges and how to practice where they have to hit. I do this with all the folks that come to me that try to get better in the range we're talking in, like knowing how far, how far the target is. It's 115. Okay, but you can't hit it past it. And you can't miss it left of it, right?
Mhm.
Or whatever. Putting things that you have to do on the golf course to become a better player, right? Like every shot is not a full swing shot, especially inside 120 yards. And I don't think near enough, if you really wanted to me become a single digit player, especially if you're wanting to become a scratch or better, like becoming better in that scoring zone where you can hit numbers, you can control which side of the hole you hit it on
Mhm.
and hit your numbers is a huge deal. And especially 30, 40, 50, 60-yard shots. You see how many of those you get. That 200 and something yard par three we're just talking about. If you miss hit a little, it's just short of the green, it might be a 30-yard pitch to the back.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's writing down how they practice, and to really, as coaches, we're looking at these things. We're looking
Mm-hmm.
at, are they getting the best out of their round? I mean, hell, if you go to another sport and you look at their practice, how differently it is from ours. First, they're practicing on the field they're playing in.
Right.
Secondly, they're gonna work on some mechanics. Second part
Mm-hmm.
of practice, they're going to work on drills, and the final part, they're going to scrimmage. So they're going to cover the whole spectrum
Right.
of what the game is, because that'll translate. So
And I think
that.
you talk about all the facets of what the game is. I think that's a big part of it is helping people understand that like the whole game isn't just your golf swing. Like and I know you with the good players you work with and the tour players and stuff like sometimes with this generation where there's so much info, there's this quest for it has to be perfect. And if you get one more piece of information or it's a little more perfect, that's all of a sudden going to give you a tour card or make you a scratch player. And you and
No,
I've seen enough people with beautiful golf swings that it'd be no matter how much tech you use, it'd be like picking fly shit out of pepper, trying to
yeah,
find something wrong with it, and they're still struggling. There's just so many facets and so many skill sets required, and most people, to me, don't address it all.
no, they don't. And the better the player, the more that I tell like the younger coaches, they're going to fool you, because you get a good player. Hell, even put me in that environment. Put me in the performance
Yeah.
center. Put my numbers up. What do you want? I can hit any shot you want to hit. So that's not a
Mm-hmm.
question of having the ability. What are you going to tweak? What are you going to do? But now there's a difference that, okay, so we talked the first part of it, having an understanding statistically. We talked the second part about being strategic. We talked the third part about practicing. Now the fourth part,
Mm-hmm.
just because you have all that shit, but you go to a PGA Tour event, you can't tell me who's going to win based on those guys on the range. No one misses. No one's
Yeah.
flaring it anywhere. So now you got the next part of that's going to be a performance issue. Can you make it perform? That's why all they talk about is when a guy gets hot, they talk about his swing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to have a different swing and make a different swing work. But what makes Scotty Scotty? Is it his swing? He understands his
Yeah.
swing. He knows his tendency. He has his practice reps in. But being able to hold up under pressure, that's what separates. So
But
then
I think that one thing tour players and really good players also do is they have developed some sort of a shot that they can hit when the shit's not going right, right? That may not be perfect, may not hit it to 10 feet all day, but they can get it around, you know?
Absolutely.
And yet, like the 5 handicapper to me, the 10 handicapper, like when they're hitting on all cylinders and it's perfect and everything lines up and they're great. But when it gets a little askew, they're not good. They're not even good. They go
No,
bad.
these
So it's like, to me, it's learning how to manage your bat and develop a shot. Like, to me, the people you're talking about, like, that are great players like yourself, like, man, you could go out there. I know you could go out there on a day you don't have very good stuff, and you would figure out how to manufacture a way and hit a shot around the golf course.
absolutely. And that comes from a couple things. One, practicing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's your skill set. But two, that's not about practicing just that perfect stock shot where I hit it perfect to that is practicing. First thing I say to my players is, what's your go-to shot? If you got to get it in the fairway, what's your go-to shot? What do you do? I know for me as a player, my go-to shot, I got a little more upright as far as at address. I got my right hand more on top, and I know that thing wasn't going left. It wouldn't go as far as that bomb where I tomahawked that sucker down the fairway. But if you
Right.
said to me, get it in the fairway, I can hit that thing and I could manage it. And that's what great tour players do. They know the go-to shots. So you talk to great players and they have an array of shots. Could be, for me with my irons, it was more of I could do anything with it, but I like the knockdown trap shot, little draw. But if I was leaving it out or overhooking it and it wasn't working, then I'm going to a hold off shot. So it's knowing your game and knowing what to go to because the feels change every day. We think that we're going to
Right.
manufacture this perfect swing and then we're going to put it out there where in fact situations, are constantly changing. Right. So if you
Yeah.
don't know how to adapt to the situation, which would be, once again, knowing how to perform. I mean, that's why, I always tell people, look at right off the bat, no matter what your handicap is, as far as if you're, 5, 10, 15, if you put my head or your head on their body, they're going to shoot 5 to 8 shots slower. We're not going to make
First thing I
mistakes that
tell
they
them is
make.
first thing I tell them is if we did that, they'd be good looking people.
Well, hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of the great Italian minds of our time.
Are you kidding me?
But no, but going back to what you said a minute ago about like the practice, right? Like, go practice and figure out how to hit, that shot you just talked about. What you would do, right? A squeeze. Go like I like to. I mean, I'll tee my driver down and hit a low squeeze, and I hit big draws with my irons when I'm struggling, right? But like, go develop a shot. Like, go out there on the range with your teacher or by yourself, and get yourself lined up, know where and work on hitting, whether it's a cut or draw or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I think it all goes to, like, you talk about performance, and like, you have to practice what you're going to try to do out there and develop that skill, right? Like, you don't just get out there, the wheels fall off a little, and all of a sudden you go, all right, now I'm going to figure out how to hit some low cuts out here all day today, right? You got to practice it some and figure out how to do it.
Yeah, because when you go out, no matter what number you hit your club, chances of you having that exact number are never the
Yeah.
same. I mean, you got to put something on or take a little off, right? But
Mm-hmm.
people don't practice, and that's especially when you're talking about those shots from 30 to 100 yards.
Right.
So you have to develop that feel and that touch, and that's more. You have to have proper mechanics. I'm not saying that there's a definite. It has to be there,
Right.
but you have to be able to hone those skill sets. Just because the swing's perfect doesn't mean it's going to perform.
Right.
I mean, historically, look at great great ball strikers throughout the years. And I'm not talking about, you talk about great ball strikers, you and I know because we study the stats, but you look at the guys like John Senden, you look at the guys like, and a lot of people don't even know who these guys are. These are guys who couldn't chip it and putt it, but, they're predominantly one dimension. They usually have enough, I don't call them flaws, call them idiosyncrasies in their swing, and they typically produce one shot. And you have other guys. You have Tiger, great ball striker. You
Right.
have Scotty, who works it both ways, but they go more to their stock shot than they do to try to move the ball.
Correct. And I think my personal belief, and there's a few outliers, but that for the person we're talking about, trying to become competitive all the way up to me, really to like college players and young professionals, learn to curve it all one way for a while. You get to be top 50 player in the world, top 100 player in the world, and you think you got to start curving it the other way to make that next jump. That's something you and Mike sit down and you talk about, but like get there first, right? Like learn to just hit. I mean, I think I see so many folks make dumb mistakes and big errors, like trying to hit some shots or curve some shots that it just doesn't call for.
No, and even even in practice, a lot of them don't understand. I've had a college girl when I just started with her about 6 months ago when we first started. Her miss was right, and one of the things I wanted her to do was miss right, hook it left,
Right.
miss right, hook it left. And she's like, this doesn't serve a purpose. And I said, yeah, it does. Because if you can purposely miss it right and you could purposely miss it left, then you know how to make the adjustments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it was, in her case, it was a path issue at first, and then it was a face issue. But, when you're, not that I want you to hit a perfect stock shot, but you got to have a dominant shape.
Yes, I agree.
1,000%. And by hitting these different shots, you're becoming more face and path aware.
Mm-hmm.
So then your stock shot actually becomes better.
Right.
Right. And because that's what it comes down to. It's having an awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, when I give, that's why every lesson that I teach starts off with, I want you to hit 10 shots. I want you to go at that pin. And I do not want you to make any adjustment based on the previous shot. Because that's what they do without even telling you. They'll hit one right, and in their head, they're not saying this out loud. In their head, they're going, oh shit, you know what I did? I know what I did. I should have did this. And then the next one goes way the hell left. And now I can't really even see. So I need 10 shots, and then I'll go, all right, now let's assess. Out of the 10, you miss 7 of them right at your target.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to play that shot, or do you not want to play that shot? And then we can kind of work it from there.
Yeah, I mean, and I a thing I've always thought about is I think that the best players in the world are really good at knowing whatever it is they do in their swing and they need to do to hit their good shot, regardless of where the last ball went. Right? Like they have some feel, some thought, whatever it is they do, and they know, and regardless of where the last one went, they are able to get in there and do it. Whereas I think so many golfers do exactly what you said, and every swing is a reaction to where the ball they just hit went. And you've got to get out of that thinking to become a better player.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see that. I mean, you see that all the time. And I'll stop them, because one will go way right, and then the next one will go way left, and I go, all right, stop. What did you do? Well, I know that I tend to do this, so I tried. I'm like, no, I don't want you to do that yet. Just hit them, and let's kind of work it from there, and then let's identify what the issue is. Is it a contact issue? Is it a path issue? Is it a face issue? And then what variables affect that? But that's the only way you can get to the true number.
And I think the majority of golfers out there, and this would be most often, like they're chasing symptoms and effects rather than fixing the cause. And that's why they never get long-lasting improvement.
Absolutely. And I always tell them, I'm like, listen, the problem is, you know what the ball did. You
Yeah,
don't know why the ball did it.
right. Like it's like the rash of golfers that come in that 7 to 15 range that are a little steep and a little too out to in. And all there's, well, I just got to get shallowed out. Well, no, you got to figure out, you got to fix why you're steep. Why does the club come from out to in? Right. And they're too busy. I mean, but I mean, I'm glad they don't. That's why you and I make a living. Right.
Well, yeah.
You know, but I think that's a huge deal. Like, you look at all the things we've talked about, the 5 or 6 things we've talked about, like, then when it comes to the golf swing, it's understanding what the one thing is, 1 or 2 things that's the cause, not the symptoms.
Yeah, and that's what I always tell them. You have to come in steep. If you come in shallow from this position, you're going to miss the ball.
Yeah.
Your body's just reacting to what it needs to do
Yeah.
from another area. That's all. It's a domino effect. It's not the end domino.
I had this guy one time. You'll love this. This guy had been going to this guy down South Alabama that taught everybody to bow, right? Everybody had to get bowed at the top and shut. And this guy already had a strong grip, and he got so bowed and shut. If you'd turn that thing around a few more degrees, it'd have gone back to open. Probably it was so shut, right? Like, but
Oh shit!
he swung so into out, right? And he goes, well, and he would weigh it out and he'd hold it way open. He goes, well, why do I do that? I said, shit, if you swung that thing down the plane and flatten your left wrist, that some bitch would hook and hit your left shin. It would come in so shut. I mean, this thing would just have a blinker on and hit your shin, and it's like, but this guy had been, he's trying to get his numbers and do all that. It's like, man, like you got to fix why you're doing it,
Yeah.
And I think, again, I just think that, like, figure it out and get with somebody that can. But that's my advice for them. Not that any of them.
Well, in the same thing, rattles my ass when I watch certain teachers, and it's the if he's got a path that's 7, 8 out to the right, and then all of a sudden they go, okay, so you're swinging out to the right now. Let me see you swing left, and I'm going, no. Why is he swinging right?
Correct.
I should be able to make a change, and then that number should go.
Let me ask your opinion on this. I'm just curious. I think I know what you've been like. Very few times to me is the path the problem, right? Like, to me, I think every now and then with tour players, you get a guy that they just may tend to get a hair a little into out or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But like most, like, to me, the path's hardly ever. It's, to me, most of the time, it's a result of the face or the way the body's moving or something in there, way more than it is just like, oh, I'm just too out to in or I'm just too into out.
Well, sure. I mean, you don't. Very rarely do you see somebody with a shut face coming down, swinging way left.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they swinging right? Well, they have to. They have to do that. And you know what? They can sometimes survive it. Ball's going to move too much. They're going to. But I can tell you, if you had option A, which is a shut face swinging left, coming down where that club is closing. I'm not talking Dustin Johnson where he's rotating.
Yeah.
All right. I'm talking about swinging left and the face tends to get shut, or he can swing out to the right with the face shut. I mean, he's going to survive. Not going to survive either one, but he's going to at least have a chance.
Oh yeah. I'd rather have somebody a little shut than open, personally. Just, for me,
I agree.
Every teacher's different too, right? I think everybody has different ways of doing things, and I don't think that that's bad, or I think that's good. I mean, it gives different people different voices, but yeah, I think we've given out some good stuff, and I mean, again, I think the majority of, to me, the message here is that if you've already gotten to be a 5 or 8, 10 handicap or 12 handicap, you've probably already got a lot of good stuff in there. The next step is probably less about fixing something in your golf swing and more it is understanding just what we just talked about for the last.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's more about understanding your golf swing,
Mm-hmm.
understanding the adjustments that you have to play. It's about understanding course management. It's about understanding where your stats are, and it's about managing and understanding how you practice. So
Yeah.
that's what makes it hard, because it's not that big elephant in the room where I can just go, hey, Tony,
Right.
I shot 75 today and I had 36 putts. And you're like, well, no shit, we got to work on your putting. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard when I had a girl today, plays in college, good player. And how'd you play? She shot like 72, 77, 74. And she's like, but I don't really play that bad. And I go, well, you didn't. And then we started going over, and even the better players, aren't aware of that. And I say, okay, so if you had three putts, we take that away. You missed 5 greens, but you only got 1 up and down. What if we got 2 up and down? So you start to look at this, and now all of a sudden 75 becomes 70 or 69.
Right.
But
exactly.
It's very hard to see because it wasn't that, I made 3 triples.
Correct.
Yeah.
I also think too, like, people have to look at things in big picture. Like, you can't just look at one round of golf you didn't play good and that be what y'all need to do, right? Like, you have to look at, like, all right, stats over 5, 10, 15 rounds, right? To get a picture. Like, these people come in and they'll just, well, I mean, maybe you just didn't putt good that day. Maybe you didn't see the line. Amelia and I talked about that today. I said, like, man, like, your strokes gotten great, your process, blah, blah. Like, you had 1 round last week. That doesn't mean you're doing the wrong stuff. And he goes, you know what? I just had a day I didn't see the line very good. Well, it happens, right? It happens.
We're human. We're human.
Right.
Right. We're not machines. And everyone thinks, and that's the thing, you even look at where we are as golf instructors, right? You look back in the day, before we were born, you took lessons from players.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, it changed and it went more into, which I think has helped, definitely helps. It's helped and it's hurt. But we lost sight of playing the game.
Yes.
And then we want this perfect swing with a perfect ball flight. And we then now have tried to become machines. You're not machines.
I still don't think you should take a golf lesson from somebody that couldn't break 80.
I agree. I mean, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I can tell you, as a person who stood up in a major championship, having everything on the line, my perception of how to play the game and what they're feeling under the gun is going to be different from somebody who can't break 80.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, I think that being able to play, having played, I didn't play tour events, but, like, having that ability to play and having played for meaningful stuff, like what you talked about so much through this pod about understanding all the skill sets and stuff and how to get things right, those come from having played, right? And I think that somebody that hasn't ever played is, maybe super smart, is a math genius, whatever, or anything. I'm just saying, is like if you've not really been able to navigate around a golf course, like, to me, I think that that's important to be able to know, to teach.
I think it is definitely for the people that want to get to that higher level.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, beginners for sure, maybe not. Well, Maliz, this was awesome, brother.
Yeah,
we got to
brother.
do this again. Next time we're doing it in person, both with a beer or a glass of wine in our hand.
Perfect. Hey,
Perfect.
I'm right down the road from you, man. You let me know when I'm there.
All right, perfect. And chicken wings. I don't like to go far without my chicken wings.
I love chicken wings, man.
But hey, keep up all the great work you're doing there at Admirals.
Thanks,
and all
brother.
the great stuff you're putting out on social. Everybody, Mike, go ahead and give out so everybody listening, make sure you check him out on the gram and all the stuff. What's your?
Yeah, definitely. Mike Malizia Golf. You can find me there.
That was tough.
Yeah.
You can look on some bathroom walls. We'll look on some bathroom walls around South Florida too. But anyway, you're the best, buddy. We'll look forward to catching up soon.
All right, brother.